All right, friends, today I'm talking about why you feel old. You hear this all the time. You're talking about how your back hurts, you feel like you're not sleeping well, you're hungover until Tuesday, and someone just tells you, hey bro, you're getting old. And most people don't actually feel old from old age or just having a birthday. It's actually that their hormones are aging faster than they are. You may notice this in yourself or your dad when you were growing up. You have groggy mornings, you need caffeine before you speak to the world, things like that. If you're smart, you're going to get lab work done every single year, likely through your insurance, so it's free. Your doctor says everything looks normal. Maybe they say, hey, your cholesterol is getting a little bit higher, your A1C is kind of close to the range, but they say, hey, you're okay, let's look at this another time. And they say that's normal, but normal means average, and the average person is not doing so good. Just look outside. So here are the 5 hormone patterns I see almost every single week that could explain a lot about why you are feeling older. So number 1, we have the cortisol and testosterone collision. So think of cortisol and testosterone sort of like a seesaw. And that just reminded me, one of my earliest memories is being on a seesaw in preschool and my thigh got pinched and I was screaming. Sorry to throw some childhood drama at you 30 seconds into the video. But anyway, cortisol and testosterone are a seesaw. If cortisol is high, testosterone is going to be lower. If cortisol is lower, where it should be, testosterone is going to be right where you want it. So a pretty common pattern I see is decently normal testosterone, we'll call it in the 400s, but someone that has high cortisol in the morning and at night, which is something that you don't want. Cortisol typically has a curve. It's going to be highest right in the morning when you're waking up. It's kind of like that stress shock of like, hey, get up, wake up, go do your thing, and then it's going to flatten throughout the rest of the day. But if it is high, that is not good. That's not a low T problem. It's more so that your body is just chronically on. So here's what I see in this person. They could be working late into the evening. You know, think like the people in the show Suits. They work out later in the day. They have some pre-workout at 5 or 6 p.m. to get them going through their workout that they only have time for in the evening because their workday starts early. They're probably going to sleep a little bit later, still waking up very early to get after their day. And really the fix for a lot of these things is just do the opposite of what you're doing. Cut your evening work time, no pre-workout, try to keep your caffeine earlier in the day, and just have an earlier, consistent bedtime. I understand this isn't always realistic, but this is really gonna help this out. And if you can switch these things, it's very likely that you're gonna see a testosterone jump in the next several weeks. People are always looking to jump into supplements, and it's not supplements, it is more so just understanding your stress signaling and making that a little bit better. But if you do want supplements, this is where ashwagandha will help. There's a lot of data that shows that ashwagandha lowers cortisol by about 30%. So this can help raise your testosterone, which is why they say sometimes ashwagandha can increase your testosterone. Don't use it for too long though, because you can get anhedonia, which is basically highs don't feel as high and lows don't feel as low. You kind of feel flat. Maybe you've seen some memes on that. So it's good to cycle only around stressful periods. Next, we have the insulin trap. So insulin is kind of like your energy manager. You see this in a lot of people. They have a lot of stress, lots of carbs, because that's the only quick, convenient thing that they can eat. They have a lot of caffeine to keep them going throughout the day and very little sleep. This is going to make your insulin high. Basically, this is kind of what leads to insulin resistance and diabetes to begin with. Basically, your cells stop listening and your insulin sensitivity drops, which is basically your body saying, hey, we're going to shuttle all these nutrients to fat instead of your muscle, and you want it in your muscle, not your fat. Obviously. This is something called lean resistance, and you may see this in a lot of people. I actually have some people in my circle that have this. They're basically relatively in shape, maintain a decent body weight, but they have low energy, they have sugar cravings, they have lower ab fat that just will not budge. So with this, you would test your fasting insulin. So if your fasting insulin is high, you want to fix this. You're going to lift a little bit more. Obviously, lifting is going to shuttle those nutrients into muscle instead of fat. You're going to want to time your carbs. Most people just have carbs all day long, but you really want to make sure that the bulk of your carbs are around your training. When you exercise, muscle glycogen in your muscles empty, which is used for fuel in your training. So carbs around your training are more likely to be shuttled into your muscles instead of shuttled anywhere else in your body, like fat that we discussed. And of course, again, got to talk about sleep hygiene. Really, the biggest thing is more so sleep consistency rather than duration. You know, go to sleep, wake up at the same time. That's going to help you a lot. Very cold room, blackout curtains, eye mask if you have it. Those are elite hacks. So if you work on bringing your insulin down, odds are your waist is going to drop, you're going to lose some visceral fat without even cutting any calories or changing much else. Next, we have the thyroid. So thyroid is kind of like your metabolic thermostat. In med school, we learned the 7 B's for what the thyroid does. It's responsible for basal metabolic rate, blood sugar, breaking down lipids, brain maturation when you're a baby, surfactant synthesis when you're a baby, which is something in your lungs, bone growth, and beta-adrenergic effects on the heart, which basically increases the contractility of your heart. And going back to your labs, most doctors only test TSH. And normal TSH doesn't necessarily mean normal thyroid function. You need to look at your free T3, free T4 to understand your real energy status. There's plenty of people that their TSH is normal, but their T3, which is actually the active thyroid hormone, is going to be bottom of the range. So basically in this, your brain thinks you're fine because your TSH is normal, but your body feels a little bit slow because T3 is not where you want it to be. And some symptoms of your thyroid being off, just for some reference, is lower energy. Your body temperature is going to be a little bit off, whether it's really hot or really cold. And also your heart rate is going to be a little bit different, whether it's high or low. Of course, depending on if you're having too much thyroid hormone or not enough. So in this situation, you're going to want to add a little bit more carbs. Obviously the healthy carbs, don't go in the pantry just eating a bunch of Oreos or something like that. And actually a lot of people these days are getting a little bit more deficient in iodine. There's a reason we have iodized salt, because iodine is directly responsible for hormone production. But oddly enough, I see a bunch of salt products in the grocery store that are non-iodized. Just get the iodized salt. This is going to help you out here. And then of course, you're also going to want to optimize your sleep. This is going to help with T3. I'm probably going to keep talking about this throughout the rest of the video. Basically, you just want to give your thyroid the materials it needs and some recovery, not just more stimulation overall. Next, we have the estrogen to androgen ratio. A lot of guys think estrogen is the enemy, and we do not want that. We do not want to feel like a woman. We do not want to look like a woman, but you need estrogen. You need it for mood. You need it for libido. You need it for your brain and also your heart, and even for your skin, it's helpful as well. And really the problem here isn't estrogen on its own or testosterone on its own. It's more so the ratio. You want to have an optimal ratio of testosterone to estrogen. Some things that are going to increase estrogen are weight gain. Fat actually has the aromatase enzyme, which converts testosterone into estrogen. You're going to want to make sure that you are a healthy body weight. If you do have high estrogen, you might notice mood swings. You might have some low drive. Maybe your nipples will feel sensitive. You're having some extra water retention. But then there's even the opposite problem. A lot of guys on TRT are taking too much aromatase inhibitors, which are blocking the conversion of testosterone to estrogen. And like I said, you need to have some estrogen. And when your estrogen is crashed, you're going to feel bad. You're going to feel very flat, very bored, low motivation. Your joints are going to hurt. Your libido is going to suck. So you want to make sure that you're not taking too much of the aromatase inhibitor just to make sure that everything is functioning nice. The goal here really is just equilibrium, not crushing your estrogen or erasing it altogether. Next, of course, is the adrenal flatline. And adrenal fatigue is like a big buzzword. There's a bunch of people selling a bunch of adrenal health supplements, but the pattern is kind of real if you ignore a lot of the marketing. And really, years of poor sleep, lots of stimulants, skipped meals are going to lead to that cortisol curve flattening, like I mentioned. It's just going to be high all day long instead of just spiking in the morning when we want it to. The pattern you might see in this is having some morning fatigue. You're going to crash around noon, and then later in the evening, you're likely going to have a second win. And a good way to think about this is thinking of yourself sort of like a video game character. In whatever Mortal Kombat or some sort of video game that you played growing up, we all had 100 HP, which are like health points, heart points, whatever you want to call it. Everything you do in your life is going to reduce some of those health points, whether it is relationship stress, financial stress, training in the gym, not sleeping enough, not eating healthy. Those are all going to cut it down. And obviously, adrenals are going to lower your baseline HP to begin with. So really the goal here is to increase your capacity. You're going to want to reduce some of your training. Odds are you're probably pretty burnt out, not recovering from your workouts. You're going to want to make sure most of your carbs are centered around your workouts and at dinner, so your body can build some of that serotonin to actually wind down. And again, back to sleep. You want to have a fixed wake up time, fixed sleeping time. This is going to help a whole lot with your circadian rhythm and also your adrenals as well. If you do this, your energy is likely to normalize. You're going to stop waking up at 3 a.m. very panicked, checking your phone, thinking about emails, or even dreaming about the things you have to do the next day. Basically, you just want to respect your circadian rhythm, or else your hormones will stop obeying you. And really the biggest pattern of all these things is one root. It is adaptation debt. Basically, your body is borrowing from long-term health to survive the stress that it is experiencing right now. And you're going to see this in a lot of people that are very motivated. CEOs, entrepreneurs, those sorts of people. They have the high ambition all the time, but they just feel like they're slowing down year after year. And the lab patterns that you're going to see are a lot of the ones that I mentioned. High cortisol, low free T3, high insulin, low thyroid. Your estrogen to androgen balance is going to be off, or your cortisol is going to be high all day long. This is basically like the same problem, just from different angles. Too much output and not enough recovery. And unfortunately, a lot of modern medicine misses this. Modern medicine kind of treats your blood panels and your hormones as like isolated checkboxes. If you're above 300 testosterone, you're fine. If your TSH is under 4.5, you're fine. But hormones are kind of like an orchestra. You want to make sure cortisol has the right tempo, insulin has the right baseline, your thyroid has a good rhythm, your testosterone has a good melody. If one key is off, the whole system is going to be wrong. You want to make sure the cellos, the violins, If those are orchestra instruments, the band instruments, orchestra instruments, want to make sure the whole system is functioning properly. And that is what optimization is and what I talk about all the time. You want to retune the entire orchestra, not just one piece at a time. Now, I know this is a lot of information, but let's talk about how to fix it. You need to measure. What gets measured gets managed. You need a full panel, not just a discounted bundle that your insurance gives you every single year. Make sure that you include cortisol, both AM and PM, or a 4-point saliva test. Total T, free T, SHBG, which is a protein that binds to testosterone, your estradiol, fasting insulin, glucose, HbA1c, TSH, free T3, free T4, reverse T3, and your DHEA. You can only see the patterns when they're visible side by side, when you have the entire picture instead of just one isolated piece at a time. And when you have all this information, here's a pretty big generic blueprint of what you should do. Talking about sleep again, this is going to be your biggest hormonal lever. Consistent wake up times, consistent sleeping times, maybe some magnesium glycinate at night if you need help unwinding or getting to sleep, blackout curtains, and a cold room. You're going to want a resistance train. This is going to make sure that your testosterone and insulin sensitivity are right where they need to be. You want to do some zone 2 cardio, which is a relatively low intensity. You should be able to speak a sentence when you are doing zone 2 cardio. This is going to help with your cortisol rhythm and also thyroid conversion as well. You want to make sure most of your carbs are whole foods. Again, this is going to support your thyroid and also help you get some deeper sleep as well. Another thing you want to do is get some morning sunlight. This is going to help with your circadian rhythm and alignment and just make you feel better overall. And I know biological age is like a big buzzword these days, but youth is more so recovery speed, not your age. It's how fast you can bounce back from things. And if you think about it, like when you drink when you were 21, you were fine the next day, you could go crush a workout, but now you're hungover into Sunday, into Monday sometimes. Youth really is that recovery speed. If your hormones are where they need to be, you'll just bounce back faster. If hormones are off, everything is just gonna feel heavier and slower overall. So like I said, feeling old is not just having a 30th or 40th birthday. It's that your feedback loops are off. That's why there are plenty of guys in their 50s and 60s that feel great. It's because they have a lot of their hormones and lifestyle in check. And a lot of this really is just having that data. What gets measured gets managed, like I said. So if any of this resonated with you, feel free to apply for an executive diagnostic. We'll do a full hormonal audit across all your systems. We'll give you an optimization plan tailored to your lifestyle and goals. A lot of this will include lifestyle habits, training, nutrition, supplementation, maybe some peptides if you're interested in that. And a lot of this isn't just going to be, BS hacks. It's really going to be making your biology a lot more efficient. So thank you for watching. I will catch you in the next video.